Okay, just a follow up to my my last video, just to show a little stuff that some people had some questions on with the RGB and stuff. First off, so if you can see, you see that little header right there next to the fan header? That's an RGB header, and as you can see, it's a 7-pin. Well, it's 7 pins, but the connector actually has spots for 8 pins. But there's only 7 pins in the connector. And there's another one down there too for the bottom front fan. So that's the top bottom front fan, the top front fan, and then over here you have the pump header and the pump RGB header, and then right behind that header is the header for, that's the RGB header for the AIO fan right here, which I replaced. So obviously mine's unplugged because I replaced the fan. So if you look up here behind for the hard drive, you got one power connector right there, and then you got another power connector right here. So I plugged one of the RGB controllers, the one that came with the fans, into this power connector, and that RGB controller is sitting right there on top of the metal plate. The nice thing about that one is it's magnetic, so it sits on that metal plate. But the downside is it's got very limited functionality. So there's a little button on it that you press, and it goes from green to off, RGB puke, red breathing, where it's going to cycle through all the different colors, and there's a whole bunch of colors it cycles through. So it's going to cycle through all the colors, breathing, and then it goes back to static red, static blue, or static green. And that's the only options it has. So that's the controller that comes with the 3-pack of fans, and that's all it allows you to do. I mean, you can plug the fans into any controller that you want, but that controller that it comes with is very limited. So, the other option is, off of Amazon, I bought this little guy. Let me pull him out. This little guy is $8 on Amazon. And as you can see, there's 3 buttons: mode, speed, color. So mode changes it to the RGB puke, and then it's got, I think this is breathe. This one's cycling through the colors, and then some more RGB puke, and then some more RGB puke, and so the speed button just makes it go faster or slower. Jesus, it goes pretty fast. Alright, so back to slow, and then you have colors, so you can make the color different. So now it's blue and white, and now it's yellow and white. So you can change the colors too. And so this controller is pretty nice. It's got a pretty nice selection. You got a few different breathing and patterns that it does, plus the RGB puke, plus it does the static as well. And when it's on static, the most important part is, because I like static colors personally. The only reason why I like RGB is just to set multiple static colors to have a theme going on. So I went to my static color, and I'm static white for the RAM. There we go, white. And I have static purple around the ring, and teal for the Alienware head, and then blue for the fans. So the fans are on one of these type of controllers, and then, which is the one that came with the fans, and then the SSD and RAM heat sinks are on this one. Note that these are just single channels, so one controller is one channel. Everything on that controller is going to be the same color. So this is $8. That one came with the fan, so I suggest if you're going to get the fans, get another one of these at least. Or the other option is, I found that Cooler Master makes a 4-channel software powered one. So that one I put in my link of the last video. It's software powered. It's got micro USB to USB. Now, granted, this motherboard doesn't have any USB headers that I can see. So you're going to need to pass the micro USB out the back of the case and plug into one of your USB ports and then download the software to control it. The plus side is that one's software based, so you don't need to open the case to get to these buttons. And number two, it's 4 channels. So there's 4 separate channels that you can control independently. So you can put like the 2 NVMe's on one channel. You can put the RAM on another channel. And then since I have 4 fans, I can do 2 fans on channel 3 and 2 fans on channel 4. And that way you have 4 separate channels that you can control independently from each other. I think that's the best bet, but it's kind of pricey. It's like, I believe it's more than $50 for that one. But you get what you pay for. So if you can live with this and you're not going to be changing your colors very much, I suggest go with this for $8. Get 2 of these, one for the RAM and the heatsink, and one for the fans. That way you can control them nicely. And if you want the software, if you think you're going to be changing it a lot, then I would suggest getting the software one for almost $60. Another thing is, I put a tie wrap there to tie the 2 wires together, and then I put another tie wrap there to tie the 2 wires together there. That way the wires aren't covering my GeForce RTX logo anymore. And then finally is up in here, that screw on the NVMe. The one that's in the motherboard is not a screw, that's a standoff. Don't use that for your NVMe drive. You have to buy an M.2 screw that screws into the top of that screw. It's a standoff. It's meant to hold the drive up, and then you put the new screw that you buy into the top of it. And that keeps the NVMe level and away from the motherboard. Because if you get a NVMe drive that's double-sided or has a lot of stuff off the back of it, you can short it out to the motherboard if you just take that standoff out and put it right back in, using that standoff as a screw. It's not a screw, it's a standoff. You can see it a little better on this one. Maybe. Let me see. You can't really see it. But just trust me, what's in the motherboard is not a screw. It's not meant for holding the NVMe drive in. It's a standoff. Yes, it has Phillips head on it, but inside that Phillips head is threads. And then you use a NVMe M.2 screw into the center of that, and that locks down your NVMe drive. Alright? So don't use that standoff as your retaining screw. You might short something out. And as you can see with this guy, all these things is there's a solder power connector here that powers it, and then this is the RGB piece wire. So this goes to the 2 RAM. They're all wired together. They're like daisy chained, one in, one out, one in, one out. If you're gonna get 2 of these SSD ones, though, you're gonna need a RGB splitter, because the SSD does not have the daisy chain one in, one out. It only has a female. It doesn't have the male. The RAM has both a male and female to daisy chain it. The SSD does not. So right now, without a splitter, this is the most I can run off of this, because it ends at that NVMe drive. There's no extra male coming off to plug another one in. So I had to order a splitter. That way I can split the 2 NVMe's separately. Alright? Hopefully you understand what I'm saying there. Again, it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. There's lots of videos on these ARGB controllers. There's lots of them on Amazon and stuff. And like I said, there's one power down here in the 2.5A for one, and then there's 2 SATA powers up here. One I'm using for the ARGB, and one I have connected to my 6TB hard drive. So I have a 6TB hard drive, a 2TB NVMe, and a 512 NVMe. I ordered a cover for that one too. I haven't gotten it yet. So I'm not going to use the 2.5 sled. And as I made a note in the first video, there are 3 SATA connectors on the motherboard. One has a wire going to this 2.5-inch drive. The one at the SATA one, the 2.5 drive does not have a SATA wire. So you need to get the data wires separately if you want to put an extra hard drive down here. You can put up to 3 hard drives in this. If you get a 2.5 to 3.5 sled adapter. So they make sled adapters that go into a 3.5 bay and gives you 2 2.5 slots. So I think that's what they did this for, because why else do they have 2 SATA powers up here? I think that was done on purpose. So you have 2 SATA powers up here in case you wanted to get one of those 2 2.5s to 1 3.5 sled adapters. You have the 2 power there. You just have to run an extra SATA data cable, and then you can run another SATA data cable down here and put a third 2.5. So you can have a total of 3 2.5s, or 1 3.5 and 1 2.5, and a total of 2 M.2 NVMe's. So you can have either 4 or 5 hard drives in this case if you wanted. But doing that, then you can't do all this RGB stuff, because then you lose these power cables for the RGB controllers. That being said, I think the best idea is the Cooler Master digital one, because that one requires just 1 SATA connector, and it gives you 4 channels to connect stuff to, and then you can put the 2 2.5s up here and still have 2 hard drives even with the RGB. And that's another option. Anybody has any questions, let's go ahead and shoot me a comment in the on the video. I've been building computers for years, so I understand all this stuff. Any questions, feel free to ask. And there you go. That's how you add RGB to the Alienware Aurora R13. Alright, thank you and have a good day. Bye-bye now.